Today, we're going to go through some questions on SQL to revise some of your grade 11 SQL. So this is about a database called, it's all about Hikers, and the database is called Hikers, and it's a company that arranges hikes in the Limpopo area. They've linked their hikes to one of the challenges to obtain the President's Award. Adventure Club offers various hiking options ranging from 2 nights to 6 nights, and bookings are displayed for bookings made for the year. Some hikes have already happened and some are still going to happen. And usually a representative from a school or a youth group will make a group booking for a hike. So let's look at the table hikes booked. And you can see there's somebody's ID, surname, the trail name, number of nights. Let's make that smaller. Booked. The number of people, I suppose, booked. Let's just see number of people booked for. And then the distance of the hike in kilometers. Let's look down here. The cost of the hike and the date of the hike. So it's really useful to have these just available to see. So I'm just going to make a screenshot of this so that I can refer to it while I'm doing this paper or these questions. Okay. So let's start and redisplay that. Okay. So let's create some queries. Question 1 says display a list of all the data in table hikers booked. Table hikes booked, should say. Your result must be displayed in alphabetical order of the surname. So we're going to create an SQL query. You click on the Create tab at the top here, then click on Query Design here, and then click on SQL. And it usually puts the word select there for you just to kick you off. And then you can delete the semicolon and start typing. If it says all the data, you know it's select stop. On the next line, you have to put from which table you're getting the data from. So table hikes booked is the name of the table. And remember that SQL is not fussy about case. You can make this capitals. You can make it completely lowercase, completely uppercase. It really doesn't matter. I sort of like to keep the reserved words from SQL in capitals. It does look neater, but really it's just a matter of preference. So we've done 2 lines. Now the third, and if you look at this question, I'll just show you to the right. That's for 3 marks, which is often an indication of how complicated the question is. This is not a tricky question, but yeah, so we've got 2 of the marks. And now we've got to do the third point. They say your result must be displayed in alphabetical order of the surname. So we're going to need an order by clause and just put their surname. And then remember to test your commands. This says sample output. I want to see that my results look the same as the results shown on the left here. So to test your query, you're going to click on Query Design at the top. It usually should be there already, but if you can't see the exclamation mark to run it, click on Query Design and then Run. And there you go. Anderson, then Antonio, then Anthony Biro, and that looks like the same as what they've got here. Okay, so we know we're on the right track. Okay, so we can go on to question 2. Display a list of all the trails that are less than 30 kilometers. Showing the trail name and distance. Display each trail name only once. Sorry, got a frog in my throat. Order the data from the longest hike to the shortest. So here you can see we only want to display trail name and distance. So let's create our new query. Select trail name, comma, distance. Got all the field names at the bottom there. And also in the sample output, you can see what you need to display. The from clause will be the same because it's still the same. There's only one table in this database. It says, display each trail name only once. Now we'll have to think about that. And it also says that are less than 30 kilometers. So we need a where clause, where distance is less than 30. Not less than or equal, just less than. All right, be specific about that. If it said that are 30 kilometers or less, then you would need a less than or equal to. Please be specific about that. Okay, showing the trail name and distance. Keep rereading your question and making sure you've got everything included. Display each trail name only once. So this will display all the trails. If the trail has been booked more than once, it's going to display it more than once. So we need to add the keyword distinct here. Okay, and that will make sure it only displays each trail once. And then it also says order the data from the longest hike to the shortest. So again, we need an order by. But if we want the distance to be, if we just put here distance, it's going to display them from the shortest hike to the longest hike. So we need to make it descending, D-E-S-C. If you forget the descending, let's forget it and run it. We're going to see that our data is being displayed in the wrong order if you compare it with the output. And here it says correct output. That means that your output should be exactly the same as this, okay? So we can see our data is in the wrong order. So we're going to go back to our SQL command. You click on the View tab here, SQL, and now we're going to add DESC and run it again and check we get the right results. So run. Now they are ordered in the correct order. All right, keep going. 1.3, display the trail name and the total number of hikers booked for each of the trails for the year. Let's look at how many marks this is. It's 5 marks, just like last question. So let's create our query. So what do we want? Select trail name, comma. Now, the total number of hikers, where are we going to get that from? Well, for each record in the table, let's look at the table. For each record in the table, it's got a number of booked. But Woodbush 2 has been booked many times. So we need to add up all the numbers booked. And to do that, we're going to use the sum command. So sum brackets num booked. Okay. And then again, from TBL hikes booked. Okay. But we haven't done enough yet because we've displayed the trail name. The sum num booked will give us the total number of hikers. Okay. We really should put an alias, although they haven't specified it. You could say as total num booked, but that's not asked for in the question, and they haven't even displayed the whole name. So how can we know what the name is? I don't think there's a mark for that. But it says for each of the trails for the year. So we need to group by trail name. That's the trick here. Okay, whenever you use an aggregate function, there are 5 aggregate functions: sum, min, max, AVG. Those are all 3-letter words, and count. Sum, min, max, AVG, and count. Whenever you use those, you need to group by. So you're going to go group by, and then whatever the other field is that you're displaying at the top, you group by that. So trail name. And that should be it. Let's run that. And there you go. This is the correct output. So we can check our output is exactly the same. It starts with Broederstroom 341 hikers. Yes, we've got that. It ends with Woodbush 2 30 hikers. Yes, we've got that. And there are 10 records. You can count them if you want. So I think we've got that query taped. You can use an alias here as total num booked, but the question didn't ask for that, even though the output shows it. Okay. And you've got to guess what the end of the word is because that's not shown here. Right. 1.4, display the trail name, distance, and cost of all trails with names that start with the letter D. See, only the Ds are shown. Display each trail name only once. Again, reminds me of hello, hello. I will say this only once. Okay, select trail name, comma, distance, comma, cost. We've done that. Trail name, distance, cost. Okay, we're using the same table, TBL, hikes booked. And now it says trails that have names that start with the letter D. So where, trail name, like, you can go quote, D star, quote. Maybe you can use single quotes or double quotes. And that should give it to you, but it also says display each trail name only once. So if you run it now, and you see it says correct output, well, we're displaying a lot of names far too many times. So what have we forgotten? We need to put the word distinct here. And that should fix it. Let's run that again, and that looks much better. Okay, 1.5. Display the surnames and distance hiked for all the hikers that have hiked or will hike further than the average distance of all the hikes. Right. If it's talking about something that's bigger than the average of all the hikes, you're going to have to, this is called an embedded command. You're going to have to put a select in a select. Let's create our new query. So what do we want? We want to select surname, comma, distance from TBL hikes booked. Okay, now comes our where clause. Where? We want to, it says that have hiked further than the average distance. So where distance is greater than, select AVG distance from TBL hikes booked. And if you want to, sorry, I've gone funny with my capitals and smalls here, but it really doesn't matter. So if you want to check that this command works, you can run it on its own and you will get one number from that. So you could create a new query, just check that that works, but I think that this should work. Let's run that. Okay, and here it says part of sample output. So we've got the right thing, Hart, Moore, Watson, Vogel, Maseki, Anderson, Peters, and they're all at 39,9. There you go. Right. Then display all the details of the hikes that took place between May and August inclusive. So let's create our new query. We want to select display all the details. So it's a let's select stop. Okay. Again, from TBL hikes. Oh, let me just do it all in smalls. Hikes booked. Okay, where? This is going to be the important part. Where? So we're looking at the date of the hike. Date of hike is the name of the field. date of hike. And we want to only look at the month of the date of the hike. So we're going to choose month, bracket, date of hike, like that. Okay, that will allow us to only extract the number of the date of the month. So if it was June, it'll give us 6, etc. Okay, July, it'll give us 7, etc. And we can say between, now May is the 5th month, so between 5 and August is the 8th month. Let's do that and then run it and see if that makes sense. So it's this, they've given us sample output here. We've got Antonio Woodbush 2, etc. Francisco Woodbush 2, Chisholm Woodbush 2, and Sebstein Stables 222. There you go. That's looking great. I think we've nailed it. 1.7, create and display a hike code by taking the booking ID, that will be ID, then the first 3 characters from the surname, and the last 4 characters of the trail name. Okay, so we're just going to display a whole lot of codes like that. You want to see the whole thing there. Okay, let's keep displaying that and create the new query. Select ID. Now, how do you join fields together? In SQL, you use the AND command. So AND, first 3 characters of the surname. How do you do that? You use the left command. So left, surname, comma, 3. That will give you the first 3 characters of the surname. And the last 4 characters from the trail name will be and right. Brackets, trail name, comma, 4. And then you just go from TBL, hikes booked, and run that. Oops, something's not happy here. Missing operator. Oops, okay, that does make sense. There's a space missing there. There you go. So we get 1 inch 2 and 2 fresh 2 and etc. All right. So that looks great. And then the last 3 commands are your increase, the update, the delete, and the insert. Let's go try those. Now you can do an update command and go to SQL. It gives you a little bit of a clue of what to do, right? If you struggle to remember how the commands go. So update TBL, hikes booked, set. What do we set? Let's read. Increase the cost of all hikes that have not yet happened by 10%. Any hike that will still happen after today must be increased by 10%. So just rewording the question, okay? Increase the cost of all hikes that have not happened by 10%. So set, what are we setting? We're setting the cost equal to the cost plus, or times, actually I should say, but so if you want to add 10%, you must multiply by 1.1, where we've got to look at the date of the hike. Date of hike is greater than today's date, which you get by saying now, bracket, bracket, okay? That will still happen after today. All right, let's try that and run it. It says we're going to update 0 rows. I think this is because it's an old database and there probably aren't any hikes that are going to happen after today. So we could take, let's take a date like the 1st of and remember that when you're talking about dates, you must use hashtags. So we're going to hard code a date. Let's say the 1st of December 2023, and try that. And here it tells me we're going to update 94 rows. So I'm not going to do it because I want to be able to reuse this database, but you can see that that would have worked. Okay. But normally you should have put the now bracket command there. Okay. Then it says delete the booking for rows. They have cancelled the hike. The ID for the booking is 19. Let's create that. And this is going to be a delete command. So you can click on delete and go to, go to SQL. It helps you a little bit. So delete star from TBL hikes booked. Where clause is very important with the delete, otherwise you delete the whole table. Okay, delete the booking for rows. So the name is Rose. Remember the surname. So where surname equals quote Rose. Okay. You can say and ID equals 19, but I suppose you could have done either. I want to quickly look at the table again before you run this command. Is you check, so ID 19 is Rose's, all right. It is Rose's, what do you call, row or ID. Okay, so let's run that. And it says we're going to delete one row, which I'm not going to do. Right, so that looks correct. Then the last command, insert a new booking for the 15th of November 2023. The booking will be made under the surname Pink for 9 people on the hook 3. Use the remaining fields from one of the existing records for the same hike. Okay. So this is like an insert with data from another table or from the actual table. So insert into TBL hikes booked. Now we're going to put all the field names. Now, remember that you do not need to list the ID because the ID is an auto number. So don't list it actually. But we're going to list the surname, the trail name, the number of nights, num booked, distance, cost, and date of hike. And then we're going to select, because we are adding table data from the table and hard coding some of the data, we're going to select the data that we need from the table. So, but the rest of, like the surname is Pink. So that we're going to fill in, quote, Pink, comma. The next thing is the trail name. So I'm going to fill that in too, because we know it's the hook 3, comma. The next one is the number of nights. Now we don't know how many nights the hook 3 is. So I'm going to select that number of nights. And then it's for 9 people. So the num booked is 9, comma. Now, I don't know how far the distance is. So I'm going to select that from the table too. Distance, comma. The cost, I don't know how much the cost is because that's a general cost that the hook 3 always costs the same. And then the date of the hike they've given me, that's the 15th of November. So hashtag 15/11/2023. Close your hashtag. And we're going to select all that from TBL hikes booked, where the trail name equals the hook 3, or actually, no, I'd rather use an ID. Hey, we're going to get lots of results. ID equals, they say, use the remaining fields from one of the existing records. So let's look at the table and choose an ID for the hook 3. Let's say 45, where ID equals 45. And we can, okay, and let's try and run this. And it wants to append one row. Let's just look at the data. Let's say no, I'm gonna just look at the table and just so we can see. You see, I've already run this here once, but it added 109 pink to hook 3. So it should add 110. Let's try and run it. And create design. And I'll say yes this time. Then we'll go and look at the table again. I'm just going to close it and reopen it. And go to the bottom of the table. And there's, okay, it added 111 pink. There must have been a 110 that was added another time and then deleted. So there you go. We've finished the query. If you want to see the query again, there it is. Insert into table hikes booked. Then in brackets, you put all the names of the fields that you want to add. And then you put a select command. With the data that has been given in the question, you hard code. So pink, the hook 3, the number of nines is 9, the date, 15th of the 11th. And then the other fields you must select from the table. So number of nights, distance, and cost from table hikes booked, where ID equals 45. And that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed this video and that it helped you learn.